Hi, this is Mike Cassis from the CNE Security CXP team here at Microsoft. And for this microlearning video, I want to talk briefly about CloudApp Security's API tokens and REST API endpoints. There's many reasons you may want to use these tokens to programmatically interface with the service. Perhaps you're doing some automation, some scripting, or you just want to retrieve some information without needing to log in. If that's the case, you'll find this very, very useful. And so let's see what we need to get started. First, you're going to need a CloudApp Security tenant, and then you'll need some way to make REST API calls. Curl is a great tool. I'm personally going to be using PowerShell, but you also have Postman and a number of other tools. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. So we've switched over to our tenant here for just a moment. And to get to this page that I'm currently on, you go to the gear icon and select Security Extensions. And this is where you can create and revoke your tokens. So let's go ahead and create a new token. We're going to type our name in. We'll call this one, say, my demo token. And we'll go ahead and click generate. We can copy it to our clipboard, and that's all we need. And whenever we're done with this token, we can click on the trash can icon to revoke it. So now that we have our token, how do we use it? Well, we can go to the question mark icon and select API documentation to come take a look at the documentation for using these endpoints. You're going to be met with a number of information, but let's go ahead and use this example as a great way to start testing if this is actually working and our token does what we expect it to do. So we're going to go ahead and paste that in there, and I'm going to convert this over to PowerShell syntax. So instead of curl, I'll be using invoke REST method. And then our URI is going to be that piece right here. And to make things a little easier, let's go ahead and add a new line tick there, and we're going to put our headers. And headers expects, at least in PowerShell syntax, a dictionary. So we'll structure this as a dictionary. And for this video, I've already created a token and stored it in this variable vid underscore token. So now we've mimicked everything we've seen there, but let's actually add a few more pieces that weren't in this example, such as the method. So we'll do a new line here. We'll say method equals post. And let's also add a verbose output to this. So we have pretty much everything we need to get started. So let's go ahead and run it and test it. It'll take just a second. And here's our output. Now all the fun stuff is in the data property. So perhaps we store all of this in a variable and then we just retrieve back the data property. So I'm going to store this in a variable called response. And make it a little easier, we'll put this on a new line as well. Now I'll just output response.data. Let's run it one more time. And now there's all our fun information. So that was pretty straightforward. But perhaps I want to call a different endpoint. So let's do things a little bit nicer. And we're actually going to variabilize the activities endpoint. So we're going to create endpoint equals activities. And we're going to change this to the variable name. Makes it easy for us to change it later. So we'll run it one more time. Everything acts as it should. So let's change now activities to alerts. And we'll run it one more time. And now we just got back our alert information. Very, very easy. So let's go see what else we can do with alerts. Now down in the alert section, I see a number of body parameters. Limit allows us to limit the number of records we get back, and skip allows us to skip a certain number of records. So let's create that as part of our body of our request. So we're going to create a new variable called body. And I'm going to structure it as a hash table. We'll say limit equals 1 and skip equals 0. And we're going to add a body parameter to our call. And we're going to say this is body, and then we're going to convert it to JSON as part of the parameter. So we'll do convert to JSON with a depth of 2. And we'll add in our new line tick. And that's all we need. So we're going to call alerts. And we should get back a single alert since we limited it to 1. And there's our single alert. Let's take a look. Great. We change that to 2. And let's say we just want to look at the title of this alert. There's 2. And we could change it to 3. And I think you get the picture. Now skip allows us to actually skip some records. So we could change skip, say, to 3 as well. And now we'll be skipping 3 records and getting 3 records. It's going to look exactly the same just because they do have the same title, but these are different records. Now there's another parameter in here called filters. This allows us to get a little more granular with what we pull back. So let's go take a look at what the alert filters actually look like, and we'll structure it as part of our body of our request. And perhaps I want to filter only on open alerts, so we can select resolution status and set it equal to 0, and 0 represents open. So we're going to add to our body. We'll change this back. We'll put limit to 100 and skip to 0. And we'll say filters equals. And then under filters, we'll put our property. And we'll set that equal to then resolution status equals 0. Now, you might be wondering why I can't just say resolution status equals 0. Why do I need to put the EQ equals 0 down there? It's because you have the ability to mix multiple operators. So I could also say, for example, NEQ, or for not equals to 1. So I could structure multiple operators under this resolution status. That's why it's structured this way. But for this example, we'll get rid of NEQ. And we're just going to run this. So this gives us just our open records. But if we come back to our console here, we see we have 41 alerts. So let's modify this just so that we can get that number 41, because perhaps I want to see if I have how many open alerts I currently have just as a number. So we're actually going to measure the returned objects, and we're just going to select the count. And now we get 41. These are just some simple examples to really get you started with REST API calls, but there's so much more you can do. There's file information, account information, even in Discovery, you can essentially script your own log collector to upload logs. And Discovery is a little bit of a special beast. Perhaps I'll do a separate video on that because it is a 3-part call to make that happen. Let's see how we can actually do this using a PowerShell module created by myself and a colleague fairly recently. To install it, you just run install-module cloud-app-security. This module is hosted on the PS Gallery. Once you've gone ahead and installed it, now you get a set of commandlets. So we could start by running something like get-mcas file to retrieve a list of file information. And we'll add some properties. So we'll limit it to 10 records. And we'll specify the app name as box. And how about we add extension in here as well. And we'll do, say, PDF. Actually, let's change that to docx. And that's going to get us back the 10 most up-to-date box files with an extension of docx. There's a lot of information in here, but of course you can always filter it down, structure it as a table. There's quite a bit. Great. Now let's wrap up, and we'll come back to our deck. So in closing, we would love to have you join our CXP security community. There's a lot of great reasons to. You can see our technical previews. You can speak directly to our engineering teams, myself included, and you can ultimately help influence product direction. So you can visit us at aka.ms/security community, or as always, feel free to email us at the below email. Thank you so much and have a great day.